All right, folks, it's about 6:30 in the morning here. I'm about to get my brisket on. Gotta go for about 9 hours and then rest for about 2. So I'm about to start the grill up, get this started while I get some trimming done. I like to use the Royal Oak wood chips. They work really good, the lump charcoal. I'm gonna add some to my chimney here, get this stuff started. Chimney full. I like to use these little fire starters. They're called Boom fire starters. Really good. Look like little cherry bombs. They work really good. You just fire them up, walk away, and let them burn. All right, there we go. Had any extra chips in there that may have dropped out. Put that guy on there. That'll probably sit there for about a good 10, 15 minutes or so. Get burning good, and we'll go prep our brisket. All right, folks, we got our brisket here. I've got a nice big Angus beef, almost a 15-pound brisket. This thing looks like it's gonna definitely need some cutting on it. So we're gonna get her open and start trimming her down. There he is, look at that monster. That is a big piece of meat. Look at that bad boy. That's a masterpiece. All right. All right, folks, I'm gonna use my hardcore carnivore trimming knife. It's good to get you one of these knives, something that's very, very sharp that you can trim a lot of fat off with. This one here I like the best. It cuts very, very good. Hardcore carnivore, one of my favorite. So we're gonna start off by trimming some of this hard fat right here. This hard fat just doesn't really render down that good when you put it in the smoker. So we're gonna go ahead and get rid of a lot of that. It's hard, it's like knocking on wood. So I'm gonna get on in there and trim a little bit of that guy there off. Oh yeah, you see how that knife cuts like butter? Look at that, straight fat. That wasn't enough, so we're gonna come on in and take a little bit more down. Yeah, look at that, whole slab of fat. All right. All right, folks. Today I'm using my Weber Smoky Mountain. This seems to be one of the best smokers. Works perfectly, controls the temperature very well. We got our coals nice and hot and ready. We're gonna go ahead and throw a couple of wood chunks on there. Using some hickory and a little bit of apple. Seems to give the meat a nice good flavor. Some nice hot coals in there. Throw a couple more on there. There we go. Get that going good. Stick our top back on. Just a little bit and let them burn off some of that dirty smoke and get to the clean smoke, get our temperature right, and then we'll add our brisket. We're gonna start now. We got everything all trimmed up. If you want to take a look at this masterpiece of a brisket, he's all ready to go, looking good. In my past, I've trimmed a lot on them, but I found that if you leave a lot more on there, you get more juices. There's really no need to trim all the fat off. You want to keep some in there to give it that good flavor. So we're gonna get ready to add our seasoning to it. One of my favorites, again, I'm a hardcore carnivore guy, so I'm gonna use hardcore carnivore black. Very good stuff. Hardcore carnivore, sorry, got stuck in my mouth there. So what I like to do is I like to put a binder on it, which is my mustard. Some people use mayonnaise, some people use lime juice. Everybody uses something a little bit different. I like the way the mustard binds the seasoning to the meat very well. So you're gonna put your mustard on there and rub your meat. All right, now let's start with our hardcore carnivore black seasoning, one of the best. Makes a little bit of a mess, but it gives a great bark on your brisket. Shake it up, get it all separated. Very nice. Very nice. That's gonna give it a nice, good, crisp bark on the outside. And this black seasoning, it's mainly just like salt and pepper. It's got a few extra things in it. I've read it a few times trying to figure out sea salt, white sugar, black pepper, garlic, onion, chili powder, oregano. So all the good stuff all mixed into one. So you really can't go wrong with this one on a brisket. And you can never really put too much. I like to coat mine really good and then let them rest. That way it can sweat it all in. That guy's looking good. All right, folks, and there you have it. Fully seasoned up, ready to go on the smoker. Hardcore carnivore black seasoning. As you're gonna see when this thing comes out, that this makes an amazing bark, and it tastes so good too. It's got a perfect taste to it. So we'll let this sit for a little bit, let all the seasonings kind of just soak in. We call it letting it sweat. What'll happen is it looks so dry right now. After about 5-10 minutes, you'll start seeing the moisture seep through, and it's letting all that seasoning seep into the meat. So we'll let them rest for about a good 10-15 minutes, and then we'll add them onto the smoker. See you in a minute. All right, folks, I'm just coming out to check the temperature on my smoker. We want it to get it right around 250. That's gonna be the great temperature to cook a brisket at for about 9 hours. So we're almost there now. If you come on in here and take a look, we're right around just at 200. So it probably needs to go for a few more minutes to get that bad boy where it's at. But as you can see, she is smoking very nice and strong. So we'll give it a few more minutes here, and then we'll get this brisket on this bad boy. All right, folks, we got our smoker sitting just at 250 there, smoking nice, burned off all that dirty smoke, nice clean smoke in there. Whew, look at that, ready to go. All right, now my Weber Smoky Mountain is about 18 inches long, wide, so we're gonna have to be strategic to get this beautiful brisket to fit on there. Kind of bend him up just a little bit. He's gonna shrink as he cooks, so not a big deal. We'll make him fit. Curve that point a little bit. All right, there he is. He's on, he's ready to cook. Let's close him up. There it is. And we'll let that temperature get back up to 250. You see it's steady climbing. And we've got some good smoke going in there. She's ready to go. Now she's gonna sit on there for about 2 hours or so. Then we'll come back out. We'll spritz it with a little bit of juices. I like to use a little bit of Worcestershire sauce and some beef broth. Gives it a nice good flavor on that brisket. So let's let it go for about 2 hours, and then we'll come back and check on it. Right, well, welcome back. We have been about 2.5 hours or so. We're still sitting at about 250 degrees. If you want to take a look, that's the great thing about the Weber Smoky Mountain, and it really holds its temperature well. So let's crack this baby open and see what it looks like. Ooh, very nice, very nice. See how it's forming that good bark on there? What we're gonna do is we're gonna add a little spritz to it right now. Make sure we keep it nice, moist. Good, that looks good. All right, now we're gonna fill them back up, come check on it a little bit later. Give it probably about 2 more hours or so. And we'll check the internal temperature and see where it's at. See you in a few. All right, folks, so this thing's been running for another 2 hours. Looks like the grill's running a little bit hot. I'm gonna have to turn my dampers down just a little bit. But we're gonna check on it here. We're gonna check the internal temperature and see where it's at, and then we're gonna spritz it a little bit and decide on if it's time to wrap it or not. Oh, that bad boy is looking nice. I don't even know if it needs too much spritz. It actually looks like it's doing pretty well on its own. And like I said earlier, it was definitely gonna shrink up, and we can really see here it has shrunk up a good amount. So all I like to do is take my temperature gauge. It's good to have a nice digital one that you can stick in there pretty deep and get a really good reading on it. And I always go to the most thickest, fattest part of the brisket and try to get a good reading on it. See where we're at. So she's sitting at right around 149 right now. I like to wrap right around about 160, 165. So we're gonna go ahead and throw a little bit of spritz on it and then put it back in for a little bit longer. Scoot him over a little bit now that he's shrunken up. All right. Oh, need our temperature gauge on that side. There we go. And we'll knock our dampers down just a little bit, just so she's not burning so hot. All right, there we go. So she's set for at least another hour or so. We'll come back and check. We're gonna, basically we wrap based off temperature, not time. So you wanna make sure you hit that 160 to 165 mark before you go ahead and wrap it up in some butcher paper and put it back on until she's finally done at right around 200 degrees. So we'll give it another hour or so and we'll come back and check. All right, folks, so I think our brisket is ready to be wrapped. We're gonna pull them off and check the internal temperature. He's been cooking pretty good. It's almost 4.5 hours here at 250. So we're looking for an internal temp of around 165 to 170. Let's go ahead and see where we're at. Oh, that's beautiful. Look at that. 166. That's perfect. I'm gonna check one more spot just to make sure she's good all the way through. Oh yeah, 166. Perfect time to wrap it. Let's go ahead and get this bad boy off of here. It's a little bit hot, so I can't just pick it right on up. There we go. Perfect. And take a look at that beauty. What an amazing piece of meat. Look at that, the bark starting to form there. And it's gonna continue to form as we wrap it. So let's take it on inside and get it wrapped up. All right, so we got our brisket inside here. We've got our butcher paper down. Butcher paper is one of the best. It kind of absorbs a lot of the grease and still lets the smoke get through and penetrate the brisket. So we're gonna get this bad boy wrapped up. This is a pretty big brisket, so we're gonna try to wrap them the best we can. Gonna flip it and tumble it. There we go. All right, that's a nice good wrap on there. Absorb some of that moisture. I always stick a couple of little toothpicks in there just to make sure my wrap sticks right where I want them. There we go. Now your brisket's ready to go back on the grill for a couple more hours until we get the internal temp of at least 200 degrees. 2 to 202 is kind of like where I want to pull it off at. And then we'll stick it in the cooler for about an hour or two just to kind of see how she sets. We'll see you in a few. Alright folks, she's been cooking for about 10 hours or so we're gonna go ahead and pull it off, get it wrapped up in a towel here and drop it into the cooler. Alright, it's been about almost 2 hours. We're gonna go ahead and pull this bad boy out of the cooler. Ooh, look at that, look at all that steam that rises out of there. Perfect. Take her on inside, open her up, start cutting. Oh yes, that's beautiful. Look at that. That came out perfect. Look at that bad boy. The bark is formed very nicely and she looks just right. I'm gonna get it out of this paper here and we're gonna start cutting. We've also got our hardcore carnivore knife as well. Slicing knife works really good on a brisket. So I always like to start at the end and get that end off of there real quick before I just go right into a slice. Oh yeah, see those kind of, these right here, people usually cut these up and call them burnt ends. That's just a lot of flavor and juices and just nothing but goodness inside there. A lot of smoky flavor in those ends. So I usually cut that guy up into little pieces and put him to the side. And then we'll go on in and start our cutting. Usually like them to cut them about the size of a pencil, about 1/4 inch. All right, so we're pretty much right there where it's gonna start to separate. I'm gonna take a look at this bad boy here. This is usually the money shot when it comes to a brisket. Oh, look at all those savory juices coming out of there. Oh, that is cooked perfectly. And then we'll grab us a piece here. I slice mine a little bit thicker Look at that. That is just beautiful. Look how that bad boy just comes apart there. Oh, that's nice. Got a nice rendering of that fat that's just blended in, give all those juices. Oh, that's just a perfect slice of brisket there all the way around with nice bark on top as well. That bad boy came out beautiful. And what you like to do when you cut your point, you always want to turn this guy towards you. Some people like to cut them directly in half and then go from there. I like to do is separate that extra muscle. You see that extra muscle right in there? I usually just cut that guy right on out, put him to the side, and then go ahead and start cutting all the way through on my point. But right now we are hungry. We've been waiting 10 hours. We're gonna get down to the meat, get this bad boy going. We're gonna try some of this juicy, amazing brisket that we got here. Let's see how good this bad boy is. Oh, look at that meat, the way it just comes apart. That is fire. Yes. Came out perfect. Well worth the wait. Almost 12 hours. Definitely worth it. See you next time.